Hey, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight? Welcome to another episode of Sit Down and Shut Up. Hope y'all doing well. Let's see. All right, so today we have, I think it's Lagogo. I think is the way to pronounce that. Let's find out. Let's bring him on. Hey, Lagogo, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. How's it going?
Good, going good. Yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So welcome on. I know you're looking for some training. So tell me. I don't think we've had the pleasure of playing yet. So tell me a little about yourself. What rank are you right now? What character are you playing?
Uh, I am rank two. Sorry, I'm still getting over a cold, but
No, no worries.
I'm plat two,
Okay.
and I'm using Ed. I've been using Ed throughout the whole journey,
Okay.
but I've been kind of stagnant in my progress because I switched my controls from modern to classic
Okay.
after realizing how things how real things were gonna get. Sorry.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good. All right. So tell me a little more. So you're saying you feel like your progress is kind of stagnant, right? Like tell me a little more about what's happening in your games. I know you've been switching control schemes, so that can be, a little bit jarring. But what else is kind of happening in your game? Do you feel like you're kind of losing a neutral? Do you feel like you're getting beat a lot in like guess situations? Like tell me a little more about what's happening in your current rank journey, if you can.
Uh, I do feel like it's kind of like a fear thing. I'm
Okay.
sure I'm sure that's a common thing, but it's just my body my body's already in motion when my mind's already thinking of something else. Like
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So yeah,
just
we can definitely take a look at your gameplay and see what's going on with that. Hopefully, be able to identify maybe one, two things we can kind of improve upon, or at least make adjustments for, and go from there. So I don't know if you've seen how these sessions kind of go. I know you're new to the Firerise Discord, so normally the way this works, or the way it's going to work, is I'll invite you to a custom room. We'll go ahead and run a first to three. I'll kind of get a sense of like, where you may be struggling or what might be happening in your games. Through the set. After that, we'll do a little replay review. So we'll take a look at one of the replays that we played, so one of our games, and we'll also take a look at one of the replays you sent me, right? So we'll grab one of those and kind of go through it, and kind of break it down, right, and see what might be happening for you, or like what might be causing you to get hit, or that type of thing, right? If
for
there's
sure.
any situations that I think require a little bit more in-depth explanation, we can hop into the lab, take a look at the training room, try to lab out the situations, and look at that a little more in depth. Then afterwards, if there's time and you're up for it, we can run it back, run another first to three, kind of get a sense of like, did those adjustments help or anything like that, right? So, your CFN is the same as your Discord name, is that right?
Yes.
Cool. All right, cool. So let me go ahead and invite you to the custom room.
Also to note, originally I was on controller,
Okay.
but when I went on classic, I switched to a fight stick.
Okay. Okay. So
And
you're
so
probably feeling that a lot then. There's a lot of new things for you going on.
yes,
Okay.
I'm definitely pressing button, doing moves I don't want to do.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's normal. Control scheme change. I think it's more normal than you think, especially for a lot of folks that are transitioning from modern to classic. Because it doesn't quite operate the same way. And it's just how it is. So
Yeah.
cool. So go ahead and queue up. I'll queue up in the appropriate slot against you there. I'll also deafen in Discord, so you won't be able to hear me. Mostly because I talk a lot during this part. So when you watch the VOD later, you'll see what I was thinking and all that. But I also don't want to impact anything you're doing in game, right? And I also may not rematch right away. Like the timer may run down to like 1 or 2 seconds. Don't worry, I'm still here. It's just I'm continuing to articulate thoughts and talk about what I'm seeing. That
Mhm.
hopefully will help you out when you look at this later. So with that, good luck. All right, Lagogo. I think they're new to both Fight Rise and NFC. I've seen the name, but I don't think I've been able to play them yet. Oh, hopefully this goes through. All right, cool. I was like worried that it's not connected. All right, let's see what's going on. goes for parry. Alright, woke up with a button there, I think. A wake up throw. Okay. Okay. Maybe they wanted EXTP there. Maybe not. But I think, like, where they're at right now, Platinum, gameplay-wise, they're fine. I don't think there's anything in particular that's wrong, necessarily. Oh. Maybe not the super. Alright, let's see how many times they let me hit them. Alright, pressing when they're probably minus there. I think, so it's kind of, sometimes it's kind of hard for me to determine what's happening for folks at Platinum, because some of the thought process isn't always like, you know, they haven't played the game as much, right? So I do think that they are doing pretty well in the corner, though. Corner defense and cross, yeah. And they did well, right? Like, they only made a mistake on the Oki situation where they got hit, right? So I think they have pretty good awareness. Ed is one of those characters where it's a little bit weird to play, like versus like a, say, a Shoto. Let's see if they reversal again. Nope. Okay, so I think it's pretty typical in Platinum for people to want to be very active on defense, right? Either they're pressing something, they're trying to delay tech, or they're oh, that was sick. They're really just trying to do stuff, right? And a lot of times I think being more passive is a better option. Then again, Platinum Oki looks different than, like, the corner pressure that I exhibit is different than, like, a Platinum player probably, right? Alright, a lot of parry in neutral, right? So maybe they're going for that? Yeah, can't do that. Yeah. So I think, like, again, they're picking a lot of active options on defense, right? And that's a pretty common thing to see, I think, at Platinum level. So not like end of the world type stuff, but you know, we can definitely talk about what's happening there, right? So let's test the anti-airs now. Yeah. Right. I think they're pressing a lot, right? And then again, active defense options there. I think that's what's kind of getting them here. And we can take a little more in-depth look at what's happening. But like, it's kind of a lot to deal with, right? Like, you have to deal with the neutral game that's happening. You have to deal with jumps, right? You have to deal with drive rush. Like, if I back off a little bit and just do this, right? Dealing with that is difficult. They're very active on defense here. Right. Kind of see they're really trying to be active, right? And some of that is, I think, just unfamiliarity with the control scheme too, right? They switched to classic recently, so let's bring it back on and we can ask them how that went for them. Hey, go. How did it go for you? What do you think? Still with me?
Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah. No. So, you know, you're at Platinum, and I think, like, a lot of it really just has to do with, like, some unfamiliarity with the controls. You know, just trying to get used to that. I actually thought you did pretty well.
Just to clarify, that level 1, I did not mean to throw out.
No, don't worry, for sure. It's probably trying to throw a fireball or something like that, and then, like, you did one too many quarter circles, and then the level 1 came out, right? What I will say is that I think that the biggest things for you at this level right now, for given where you're at, would really be to get familiar with your buttons, right? Get used to classic in general, how it operates and all that. And then in-game wise, I think that on Oki and defensive situations where you're knocked down, you really want to try to use less active options, right? So, oops.
All right.
You want to try to use less active options, right? So meaning, like, block more, right? So
Right.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen in Discord, and let me open up, hopefully you should be able to see my screen in Discord here, right? So let me open this up. and I'm gonna open up a replay that we. I'm actually gonna open up one of your replays that you sent me, so we can talk about what's happening there because I think that the way that games are going for you in platinum right now probably don't feel like the way the game went when you just played me right now, right? Like it's probably a lot
Right.
more stuff happening, right? It probably felt like you have more options and openings and stuff like that, right? So let me know if you can see
Mhm.
my screen in Discord. I'm gonna open up one of the replays you sent in.
It's loading for me right now.
Okay, give it a second. Yeah, just let me know when you can see it.
I can't. Hold on.
All right, I think they're gonna rejoin voice to see if it fixes their thing. Hey,
Yep.
can you see
Sorry,
it?
sorry about
No
that.
worries,
That
no
was so
worries.
abrupt.
Yeah, is it? Are you able to see it now?
Don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up on my phone.
Okay. I'm also streaming in Twitch, so you can take a look at that too. It's just that the video is going to be a little delayed if you look at it that from there. So,
Okay, that's fine.
okay. So the Twitch is in. Let me post the Twitch link. Oops. Oh, I guess that's not going to work like that.
Oh, I'm in.
Okay. You can see my screen at this point. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So this is one of the replays you had sent me. So let's take a look at what's happening here. So again, I think like in general, besides the current unfamiliar with your buttons and all that, which you'll get over, I have full faith that you'll be able to get through that. The main things that I want to look out for here are what you do on defense. So when you get knocked down, what options do you choose? And the other thing is anti-airs, right? So those
Hmm.
two things, for the most part, at this level, are like the biggest reasons why folks get stuck, right? Is that they get jumped in on a lot, and you take a lot of damage for that, right? If you can't stop the jump ins, and also in a knockdown situation, people tend to be very active, right? Meaning you're like parrying, you're trying to mash buttons, you're delay teching, like you're picking options that are not just block. And I think folks tend to get blown up a lot when they do that at this level as well. So let's take a look at the replay. I haven't seen this yet, so it'll be live for me and see what happens. Okay. All right, so I don't mind this, right? So you tried to hit them after you block something, right? And then you tried to use your crouching light kick, I think is what this is, right? It whiffs.
Yeah.
But you tried, right? And I don't mind this, right? I don't mind you trying to do this because you're trying to press a button, take your turn back, right? By pressing a button when you're plus, right? And trying to hit them.
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, at any point, if I say something that you may not know the term for or anything like that, just stop me and tell me so that I can explain it to you. Okay, I'm not quite sure where you're at in terms of all the fighting game terminology and all that. I know, if you're new to the game, so just let me know if that comes up for
I'll
you.
let you know.
Yeah.
Good
All right.
looks.
So they get through it. All right. So that was not bad. Counter hit there on the crouching heavy kick or crouching medium kick. Sorry. All right. So how is this Ed hitting you? Right. Let's take a look. All right. Target combo into the new. That's the new route for Ed, right? Target combo into that. All right.
Yeah.
Judge's flicker, and then same thing, right? So what happens here, and why you get hit, right? This is going to be a little important, I think. So you successfully landed a hit here, right? With your crouching light medium kick. You hit them, right? But what happens after this, right?
I didn't follow up.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
follow up.
what happens is you dash, or you move forward, and let's see. Oh, you dashed here, right? So if you look at the frame meter here, your input is a dash, right? So
Yeah.
you dash forward here, right? After, so right here, letting this whole play out here, right? So what happens is that after you land a hit, you commit to something that takes this long to go, 19 frames, right? Or at least I think it might be longer. I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but you commit to something like this, right? And in this situation here, you're not plus enough to where this is actually safe, right? So even if you had dashed right away, the Ed here can just basically press anything and hit you, right? That's what happened
Hmm.
here, right? So what I would say here is that if you're trying to dash in on somebody, right? You can accomplish the same thing by just walking and blocking, right? So if you just walked forward here, right, from this situation, right? So you can see I walk forward, right, a little bit and block, right? And now I have a punish opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like the reason people dash in the game typically is to take up space, right? So you were trying to move forward, trying to get in, trying to get closer so that you can press your buttons, right? Um, but it's very committal, right? In that you are locked out of doing anything for 19 plus frames, right? So 19 frames I think is Ed's dash. I forget exactly, but it was at least that long. So you can't do anything, right, during that time frame. Versus like walking, where at any point during the walk you can block, you can stop walking and block, or you can press a button, or you can do anything else, right? Like you can tech throws, you can do
Hmm.
any of those things. But when you dash, you can't do that anymore, right? So dashing is a very committal movement option. And I think at your level now, you may want to not do that as often because people will just press buttons and hit you, right? And that's what happened here, is that you actually hit them, right? And but then you're the one that gets hit in the combo afterwards here, right? So
Yeah.
no drivers cancel here or anything like that. So you just kind of hit them, right? Counter hit here,
Yeah.
right? And then you dash up and get hit, right? So what I'll say here is that I think that if you are going to close the space from here, like you didn't do a driver's cancel or anything like that, you're just trying to close the space, you can just walk forward, right? Walk forward a little bit and then block, right? Because if you did that, the Ed does this into you potentially, all right? They press their buttons into you and you block it, or they open themselves up for a punish, right? Like they do something that is unsafe on block and then you're able to punish them. So okay, so here, right? Like you're knocked down in the corner. Now you have some options, right? So you can block, you can tech, you can delay tech, right? You can wake up with a button, you can mash jab, mash crouching medium, punch for you, I guess at this point, or you can like jump back. Like there's a bunch of things you can do, right? On wake up here, reversal, for example, right? EXDP or ODDP.
Hmm.
But I think that for the majority of these situations, the option you should be choosing is to block, right? It's the lowest risk option. You'll take the least amount of damage if they open you up with a throw, right? And you'll stop anything that is like basically meaty buttons or any other option from your opponent other than throw, right? That's the only thing you'll lose to if you block. Or command grab technically, but that's not a problem with Ed, right? Against like a Gi for like other command grab characters, that's a consideration as well. But in this situation here, the only thing you lose to is throw, right? If you block.
Yeah.
Contrast that with like pressing a button on wake up, right? Like if you try to wake up with a jab or something, you'll beat something like a delayed button, right, from your opponent on offense. You'll also beat like maybe a shimmy, like if they walk back, you'll hit them and like maybe they get clipped low if you do wake up low. Or if they elect to do nothing, you'll hit them and they have to block it, right? Something like that. But what you lose to is a meaty option from your opponent, right? So your opponent can do like a meaty button or a meaty throw. You'll get counter hit thrown, or you'll get counter hit, in which case they have a combo route open to them, right? Like they get it, they score an additional, they score more damage on you, right, in the corner. So like options like that represent you beating something from your opponent from an offensive standpoint, but it does carry some risk, right? So you're taking some risk to do those things. Um, and basically the reward is for you to be able to get out of the corner and stop the offense here. But the risk is that you get hit, right? Like you may get hit by that option. Versus just blocking, if they end up doing any of those things, you will be able to not take any additional damage, and the risk is very low for that, right? Because you only lose to one thing, which is throw, but the reward is lower, right? In that you don't get to hit them or you don't get to reversal them or anything like that, right? So as you play the game more, right, these situations will come up more and more, and I think you'll be able to get a sense of like what you can and can't do and what makes sense to do, right? But for now, I think that the thing you should be doing is probably blocking. So let's see what you do here. and you woke up with a button, right? So if you look at your inputs here, you're getting up, press jab, comes out, and the Ed hits you with his own meaty jab, right? It's not true meaty, there's a gap here, but it's, for all intents and purposes, this is meaty enough, right? There's no wake up option you can do here that will beat this in terms of buttons, right? If you wanted to beat this, you'd have to reversal or perfect parry or something like that, right? But a wake up button here is going to lose to this. Now, the Ed here is going to get a light conversion, so let's see what they do. Probably into light blitz, maybe. Okay, they drive rush into that, right? Okay. So they do that whole sequence, right? And the whole reason you took that additional damage here, right? Right, the additional, 2,000 damage, right here, 20%, is because you woke up with a button, right? So you chose a defensive option that was a little bit risky, and they were able to open you up from that, right? So you take some damage here. You're in Oki situation again. So let's see what happens here. My guess would be reversal, but let's see what happens. Okay, you blocked this time, right? And I think that's a fine option, right? You're going up against a meaty flicker here, right? So you have to kind of take the 50-50, if you will, because they could kill rush and grab you instead. So you just block, right? And that's fine. So see what happens after this. So Ed is plus here, right? So your opponent is +4 here. So let's see what you do. Tech. Okay, that's fine, right? I don't mind that decision, right? Like they go for throw, you're able to tech it, right? Right away anyway, and that's fine, right? This is okay. I do think that you teched a little early if you're trying to go for like a delay tech or something like that, or that kind of defensive option. It's a little early for that, but it's okay, right? Because they went for throw and you teched it, so it's not a big deal. All right. Ooh. Okay, so how'd you get hit here, right? So after this tech happens, you're back to neutral, right? Meaning you're both standing now, right? So let's see what happens here. All right, so you both with some buttons, and then you commit to a kill rush, right? So you try to go for the the dash here, command dash, and you get hit, right?
Yeah.
So kill rushing in neutral is generally unsafe if both players are kind of standing. Most Eds won't do this unless it's in a combo or in an Oki situation where they knock you down, right? So like they knock you down, and then they do kill rush to close the space, right? Or something like that. But doing this neutral is very committal, and the only option really out of this is to do like a kill rush early or kill rush late, right? With a punch. But it takes time to come out, right? Like it'll take many frames for it to come out, right? And that doesn't come out right away. So it kind of just loses to your opponent pressing buttons, right? Okay. So they drop their super. I think they're trying to super you here. Then maybe they drop it. Yeah. They're trying to level 1 you here. They drop it. So let's see what happens here. Now, again, I'm going to guess reversal. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you wake with buttons, right? So why did this work this time versus last time? So if you look, the Ed.
Sorry, it's loading.
Okay. Let me know when you're caught up. Sorry, the buffering might not be great. All right. You good?
It's fine.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Cool. So why did this work this time? And it's because the Ed went for a jab and whiffed, and then you woke up with your button here, right? So if this Ed, your opponent, had timed this correctly, like, or if they don't drop this, they kill you, right? Obviously, but if they time this jab correctly, they counter hit you and kill you here, right? Like the game ends because they're able to get a confirm here, right? Instead, they kind of miss and you're able to take advantage. But you can see like the option that they had chosen would have beaten yours if they had executed it correctly, right? They don't, and you went for another wake up button here again. And because of that, you're able to counter hit them, right?
Okay.
So I think that again, like in these situations here, your goal isn't necessarily to like get full advantage back, right? Your goal shouldn't necessarily be to like, knock them across the screen, right? In these types of situations, your main goal should really just be to stand back up, right? To get back into the fight this way, so you don't have to guess anymore. So you play neutral again, right? So that's why I tend to advocate for folks to block more, at least at these levels, as you're learning the game, because you are kind of right now. What you're doing is you're trying to take your initiative back aggressively, right? And you kind of saw what happened when you played me, was that when you were doing that, you'd get blown up by my meaty pressure, right? Like I'd be doing meaty strikes, or throws, and then you would get hit, right? Over and over again. Because like as you get higher and higher in the game, like people aren't going to mistime their meaties, right? Like the stuff, even if it's manually timed, is going to be a little bit tighter, right, as you climb up through the ranks, right? So I tend to tell people just to block here at first for now, and then you get a sense of that, right? If you blocked more, you can see here, if you had blocked more, you'd have taken less damage overall and potentially gotten out of the corner by, going back to neutral, basically, right? But instead here, you kind of get hit. Okay. And then you kind of walk forward here, trying to get some space back and get hit, right? So this is difficult, right? And at any level, like trying to deal with this kind of pressure where the opponent is like, has you in the corner, they're pressing buttons in your face, you can't really walk forward or like do anything about it. This is difficult to deal with at all levels, right? This is not just like a platinum specific thing. Like if this were happening to me at at master right now, this would be hard to deal with, right? So I think like trying to be conservative, block more, and wait for an opening is gonna be better for you longer term, because then you'll be able to recognize what your opponent is doing and go from there, right? Because like if you had blocked here, right, and I'll keep advocating for this, because if you had just continued blocking, the opponent keeps pressing these buttons, and potentially here you're able to take your turn back and get some space back here, right? So after this, right, so they whiff a button and you're able to kind of hit them, right? So again, like the corner defense wise, again, I thought you did okay when we were playing, but I do think that you should be blocking more, basically. Right? So the takeaway from that is to just block more, right? Okay. Yeah, so what happened there, right? So you tried, I think that was an input of some kind. Let's see. Got hit. Oh, you're trying to do your sweep here, right? So, and you get hit, right? So, neutral in general, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What I will say for this is that, let's see, how do I want to put this? Generally speaking, so Ed's a little bit weird, right? We'll start with that. So the way Ed plays the game is a little bit different than like how a typical Shoto plays the game, right? They have he has like very high committal buttons that have like really good range, right? But you have to kind of be able to play that range correctly. His jabs aren't like the best, and he has like a couple of punches that are good, like stand heavy punch is good. But the spacing that he wants to play at is a little bit different than other characters, right? So for most characters, they want to be inside the crouch and medium kick range, right? So right inside their medium normals, right? For Ed, it's kind of the same thing, except his normals are further away, right?
He's a poker, yeah.
Yeah. So he wants to play from further away. He wants to keep you out in that way, and try to get you to commit to some sort of option as you try to come in, and then he'll kind of counter poke you and kill you for it, right? So what happens here is that you're trying to press a button that's a little bit slow. In this case, a crouching heavy punch, which is like 10 frames or something like that, if not longer. And the Ed here hits you with a stand medium kick at a spacing that is maybe a little bit too close, but it comes out faster than yours because they press it before you, right? So you're a little bit later, right, is what happens. So typically what I tell people is that when you're closer, right, the closer you are, the faster your button needs to be, right? Like if you think about it, the longer range buttons, like crouching heavy kick, stand heavy kick, or stand medium kick, like those kind of longer range buttons for Ed and most characters, right? They have long range, they do big damage, but they're slow, right? Meaning they take 10-12 frames to come out. Versus like your lights, which don't have a lot of range, especially for Ed, right? His jabs are really short, but they come out fast, like 4 frames, 5 frames, right? So the speed starts to matter because the range, when you're closer, the range matters less and speed matters more, right? And then conversely, the further you are, range matters more, speed matters a little bit less, right? So what I'll say here is that I don't think this was a bad option to press. It's just that you're a little late, right? So if you'd pressed this earlier, like from right here, oops. After you got hit here, right? After you got hit, right? You kind of have 2 options. You can just continue blocking, or you can do what you did, which was try to press a button, right?
Yeah.
But if you pressed it sooner, you would catch them pressing their button, right? So you kind of have to commit to pressing it if you're gonna do that.
That part too.
Right?
Like oftentimes I
Mhm. A little bit late.
Oftentimes I don't commit.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something that you'll pick up as you play more. The timing at which you can press your button after you block something, because right here, right,
Hmm.
it's actually zero, right, meaning there's no advantage to either player, right? So you can press whenever you want from here. So can they, right? And they don't really delay as much, right? So there's zero here, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 2 frames later, they're pressing, right away. So if you're gonna press a button, commit to it, right? Like commit to pressing. You can
Yeah,
also just block, right? So if you aren't sure if you can do something, if you just block, right, it's a more conservative option, but you won't get counter hit for that, right? Like you can't get counter hit if you're blocking. So, right. Good, right? So
yeah.
when flickers come out, hold parry, and then if they do that, it's good. Right. All right. Okay. So what's happening here is that you're both trying to press buttons and establish some kind of offense, right? Some maybe trying to land hits, try to land a combo or something. I do think that you're currently, since you are switching to classic, it's likely that the combo stuff that you need to execute on isn't quite there yet, right? Meaning you still have some work to do to get
I
used to
I,
that again,
I
right?
completely agree.
Yeah, yeah. Because like it's when you're on modern, right? Especially with Ed, auto heavy does everything for you, right? You just do that. It does the EX flicker, right? It does the kill rush. It does everything, right? When you mash the auto heavy, right? And that's why the combo's so good.
Yeah,
But now that you're on classic, you have to manually input the kill rush. You have to make sure you time it correctly, right? All that stuff, and you have to do the cancels and everything else. So that's just like mechanical stuff. I'm not gonna harp too much about that, right? Because once you get that, things get easier, right? Because you're landing some hits, right? This isn't like you're doing poorly here, right? Like from there, that's light blitz, right? If you land all 3 lights there, right?
yeah,
Some of these trades are what they are, but like I'm not too mad about how you're trying to react to neutral, right? So obviously conversions matter in this game, and you have to learn how to do that eventually. But you don't have to do that yet in terms of like, well, let me rephrase that. You should learn how to convert combos, right? Like you need to be able to do damage. Because this Ed is doing more damage than you. He's not necessarily winning more neutral interactions, but when he does win a neutral interaction, he does more damage than you, right? He goes into the target combo, into like the flicker ender, right? Like he's done that a couple of times.
yeah,
So because he can do more damage than you per interaction, he's gonna win if you guys have the net if you guys have the same number of neutral interaction wins, or even if yours is a little bit more overall. Since he's doing more damage per interaction, he's gonna win, right? So that the way to
hmm,
equalize that is for you to do just as much damage and get hit less, right? Ideally. So, but yeah, that's just lab work. I'm not gonna harp too much about that. But what I do want to talk about are like decision making in the corner, which I think you're interested in, as well as like identifying punish opportunities, right? So here, right, he does this on block, and this is unsafe, right? You can see that you're actually +8 here, right? So you can press an 8 frame button here and punish. Let's see what you do. Instead, you jump, right? And my guess here is that you may not have known that this was punishable, right? Like meaning, guaranteed punish here. Because from 8 frames here, right? I think you can get like target combo, especially because you're up close. So something like this. I don't play Ed, but I think it's like this. Right? Right? Or even this. Right? Something like that. Right?
hmm,
Um, take a look at your characters frame data and see like what. Okay, so we can take a look at that, right, also, and what you wanted, how you want to approach like how that works there. So for now, what I'll say is that you just have to kind of play the game more to see where these unsafe moves are and be able to punish that, right? So if you look here again, you have 8 frames. So Ed has moves that are less than 8 frames, and you saw me just do it with like a stand medium punch, right? So you can get some damage from here, right? So instead, you kind of jump, right? And then I think you have a habit of pressing parry after you get hit, right? So that happened to you a
yeah.
couple of times during our set where I would do something and then you would just parry on wake up or parry after, and I would just throw you, right? So again, it's really more of like I think it's a defensive option habit for you where you'll just parry, right? And or you want to do
Yeah.
something. And so to break that, I think you just have to block more. Really, that's really the fix for that.
Okay.
This was good though. So he drops, right, and because you're parrying here, you're able to parry through this, and this is minus, right? Oh,
Mm.
does he counter DI here? Yeah. Okay. So if you look here, right, after the light the I think it's medium blitz, right? He is minus 12, right? Meaning you can press up
Yeah.
to a 12 frame button and punish whatever he's doing here. So for you, this would be like, I think this. Oh, not that. Right? Something like that, right? Into EX flicker. Right?
Yeah.
So at that, when opportunities like that happen, you do need to be ready with a punish, right? So normally, like again, in modern, you would just mash, heavy auto combo and it would do everything for you, right? So now that you have to do that, you do have to be cognizant of when you can get punishes like that. Typically, after like special moves that are on block, right, and that type of thing, you'll be able to punish with a big move, right? So a 10 frame big
Mhm.
move like type of deal, like a punish, heavy punish, right? If you're unsure, meaning like you block something but you're not quite sure, you can always go for like a light punish, right? So that would like probably something like this. And it's like this, right? Or like this, right? Maybe like this. Oh, uh, right? Something like that
Mhm.
potentially, right? But the idea there is that you have like these kind of known punishes that you can do from certain moves, right? So like a 4 frame punish, 6 frame punish, 8 frame punish, that type of thing, right? So as you play the game more, right, you'll start to notice that certain moves are a certain level of minus, and you'll be able to punish them with a certain starter, right? So like with dragon punches, with special move or with supers, like that type of thing that tend to have a lot of ending lag, meaning like if it's on block, it's very unsafe. You'll typically do punish that with a heavy starter, right? Meaning you'll do like a big button punish, right? For other
Right.
stuff like maybe a target combo or something else that was less minus, say -5, -6, -7, -8, right? You'll have a punish ready for those, and then 4 frame punish as well, right? Like a jab punish, if you will. So those are just things you'll have to pick up now that you're playing classic, and that's just part of the game, right? Like knowing how to do that.
Yeah.
The main thing again is that you like I don't expect you to be able to punish things right away, but what I would like to see and hopefully you're thinking about is like situations where something unsafe happens on your opponent's side and you have an opportunity that you're able to identify that opportunity and even take a little bit of damage, right? So like do some combo that you think will work. It doesn't have to be super complicated or any of the crazy dream combos or anything like that. You can just get away with like what I just did here, which was crouching like it into EX Blitz, right? Or whatever,
Right.
right? It doesn't have to be huge, but you do have to take advantage, get those advantages when you can, right? Because eventually, right, you will be able to punish it because you're in the lab, you're practicing your combos, that type of thing. You'll be able to execute those things in game, and then you'll have opportunities to deal big damage, right? And that's how you get there. So.
Mhm.
But DI here typically is a little bit tough because the opponent has to do something that's DI-able, and for Ed, that has to be I don't know how many buttons Ed can do here that are actually DI-able, right? So, if they're not paying attention and they're asleep at the wheel here, maybe this works, right? Or if they cancel into like a flicker or something, maybe this works. But they were ready, so they counter DI'd you, right?
Yeah.
That goes for drive combo into level 3. Yep. Right. So here, if you look at the situations and how the round kind of went for you here, so you took one interaction there. Right, an opportunity to punish there. And then the counter DI is what gets you, right, at the end. Because then he just goes into level 3, right?
Yeah.
And again, really, I don't think you played that necessarily bad or poorly or badly, right? I actually thought this was okay gameplay for the level you're at. It's just that the other Ed was able to convert more of their hits into damage, right? So
Yeah.
whether that for them that just meant target combo into the new route that Ed has, but it was doing more damage than you were, right? Like if you look at the game, Like the most damage you did in a single situation was 1760, and the most they did is going to be here the 4000 something, right? Because it's a super. But like if you look, they're doing like 2000 damage or something in interaction, right?
Mhm.
Like not that one, but this one, right? So like they're doing more damage than you generally speaking, so that's why they're kind of winning, right? So,
Yeah.
and then the other thing would be on defense, making sure that you are actually just blocking more, right? Choosing to block more often and allowing yourself the opportunity to stand back up, right? This ad didn't particularly jump at you, so I didn't really get to see any anti-airs coming out, but anti-airs are very important as well, right? Be making sure to be able to stop that, because at this level, most people are getting offense by jumping or doing some sort of neutral skip, right? So like for every Ken that you run into in this game, probably at Platinum, is doing like 10 Dragon Lashes a set, right? If not more. Right? You're probably seeing that a lot right now. And being able to
Yeah.
stop those things is how you are able to, stopping those things is paramount to getting better, right? Because once you stop those things, the opponent isn't really able to do anything if they're not willing to play kind of neutral here. Like if they just want to skip it by doing their tool, and either they have to adapt, right, to do something
Mhm.
else, or they don't keep trying and you kill them, right? In which case it's the same idea, right? Is that you win the game, right? You'll start winning more once you stop those things. But you do have to be able to stop them, right? Because it's very strong, right? Like jumping represents a lot of damage, right? And so does like those neutral skips, represent a lot of damage. So cool. All right,
Um,
yeah.
one unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that consistent with the DP input.
Mm-hmm.
I can occasionally at times if the window's long enough, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll
Yeah.
you'll see that I can't really have trouble pulling it off.
It's fine, right? It's part of learning classic is you have to learn how to do that, right? For Ed in particular, you can also do something like stand heavy kicks, right? So it's a flicker that goes upward. Usually that can work pretty well to kind of anti-air. And I want to say that no, that's a sweep, isn't it? I think that's his main anti-air button, actually, right? Normal here. One sec, let me just make sure I'm not lying to you. I think that's the one, the stand heavy kick, generally speaking. Yeah. I think that's the main kind of button anti-air, right? Because the rest of his punch buttons don't really work that well moving upward, right? Like it's just a weakness of the character, right? In general, is that he doesn't really
Yeah.
have a good way to deal with jumps with normals, right? And again, like characters have weaknesses, that's just how it is. So get used to using your normals, right? A lot of times anti-airing, and I'll say this now, a lot of times anti-airing is not just the mechanical part, meaning like being able to actually execute the DP. A lot of it also is like just understanding the spacing that people are standing at where they tend to jump, right? So like if you know a
Mhm.
jump is coming, it's easier to anti-air that than one where you don't know it's coming, if that makes sense, right? Because then you can be ready
Yeah.
with your button or even with your DP if you're ready for that, right? So all right, cool. So let's take a look at this game. So this is the new Alex. So we'll see what's going on here. Yeah, I'll admit that I don't quite know all of Alex's options just yet, so I may not be able to speak to like the actual counters here. We can take a look at like the general gameplay and see what happens. Yeah, there's the anti-air option, right? And then there's the parry, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that it's not a bad option sometimes, but you are going to get thrown a lot if your opponent notices you always going for parry, right? So I think like it's better to just block and see what your opponent likes to do. And then if they only ever do strikes after situations like that, then go for parry, right? Similarly, if they only go for throws, then maybe you can tech or whatever. But I would wait to see what option they choose before deciding to parry, right? Because you're going to take a lot of damage, right? You take 20% and lose a bar of drive if you get punish counter thrown, right? And that's significant, so. Good?
Cool. Yeah.
So this is good, right? So the Ed is, or sorry, the Alex is too close. They're walking up, and you're able to hit them, right? Totally fine. Okay. All right, that's just again being ready against the DI there. You didn't do anything in particular that was DI-able. You didn't counter DI it, right? So.
Mhm.
All right, so against grapplers, right? It's a little like the way the Oki works in the corner against grapplers is a little bit different, right? It's not like a Shoto or something else where they have to do kind of strike throw mix, right? The reason for that is because command grabs can't be teched, right? So you can't, since you can't tech a command grab, you actually have to guess if they're going to go for a meaty strike or a meaty command grab, right? Meaning either you beat the command grab or you beat the strike, right? So you can either just continue
Right.
blocking, you can parry, or reversal. Well, reversal actually beats both, but you can continue blocking or parry if you think it's going to be strike, or you can like neutral jump or backdash if you think it's going to be throw, right? But you can't like option select like a delay tech or something to beat both, right? You do have to like commit to a defensive option. And that includes reversal, right? So reversal does beat both of those things. So if you ODDP from right here, that does beat both of those things, right? But you do have to commit to that option. So the way that grappler, offense typically works is that you do have to make a guess, right? So guessing block here is
Yeah.
totally fine, right? You have to get a sense of like how the opponent likes to play on Oki before you can really start kind of being able to defend against this, right? So I do think defaulting to block is fine. Right, so you get power bombed. Right. So you're able to jump in, and they go for throw and whiff it, right? So why did the throw whiff? Is because you're 2+, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right. So you're so plus here that the throw frames, the throw active frames, you can see here, he's not out of recovery yet, right? So you're not able to throw him. That said, you did hit them, so you can always go into a combo from here. Maybe like a light string combo or something like that, or whatever else, right? So something like this, right? Ah, right. So you can continue that, or even this, right? Right, something like that,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
when you hit, right, typically when you do a jump in, you kind of want to assume it's going to hit, right? Like you don't do a jump in assuming it's not going to hit, right? So like you want to be ready with your follow up in the event it hits, right? So if it's on block and you go for throw, totally makes sense. I get that. But if you see they confirm that it's a hit, then you should go into some combo if you can, right? That's big damage, or you can represent a decent amount of damage if you do that, right? So anyway, land a hit 2+. Right. I don't mind that. I
Mhm.
think if you were reading that the Alex was going to go for some sort of charge option, I think that's fine. I guess. I'm not quite sure how Alex's options are out of that, but you did punish counter them, right? So. Oh, it's counter hit. Okay, so the Alex just wasn't ready to cancel. So. Fine. Right? You're able to answer that with the upward flicker. It's fine.
Mm.
Right. So you can see there, right? You get the counter hit medium punch. Leaves you +8. But there's no follow-up, right? You end up going for a
Yeah.
sweep, right? And this is blocked, so this should be a punish for Alex here, right? Like, because you're that minus. So like again, you're landing hits, right? And I think that's good, right? You want to be able to do that. But you do want to make sure that you're able to follow up with something, right? Again, it doesn't have to be like a super crazy combo, just like target combo into kill rush late or something like that,
And
right?
just commit to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because he's minus here, right? So
Yeah.
right, you get the counter hit here, right? So confirming that into whatever you're gonna confirm it into, right? So
That's a problem I have like very often. Problem I have very often.
like you press and then like you're not quite sure what to do after if it hits.
Y-
Yeah.
That and bec- yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because again, it's a little easier on modern, right? Because you land a hit, you can just continue pressing the button, and it'll combo into something, right? If you'd use auto potentially, right? So especially for Ed,
Mhm.
since all of his like, like his punch buttons are on auto, right? So they all lead into a combo of some kind. So it's a little easier to convert those, right? Right. Again, excuse me. You land the hit,
Yeah. Sorry.
but you don't. I mean, there you did a medium punch, right? Right. So that was good. But then you just have to convert this into something, whatever that looks like. Unfortunately, not right. And then there's the parry again,
Ah.
right? So you do something, and you parry after, right? And if the Alex is paying attention here, this is game, right? He just walks up and throws you because you're in recovery forever, right?
That what is it? The forward heavy?
Yeah.
That is a mistake I often make. It causes me matches.
Oh, this one, the
I
Superman
throw
punch.
my games because of that. Yes, the Superman punch throws me games,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The good thing is that on hit, or sorry, on block, it's -3, so it is safe, right? It's just that you do, you obviously wanted to get turret combo kill rush here, right? Like that's clearly what you're going
Yeah,
for.
after the standing medium, I was going for just standing heavy.
Yeah, stand heavy into kill rush into upper or whatever, kill rush early or late or whatever it is, right? Into something.
Yeah,
So that's just again, that's just cleaning up mechanically, right? Making sure that when you press the heavy punch here, that you're not holding forward, because you don't have to, right? Like the kill rush, you only need to hit forward for the kill rush after the heavy punch, right? So that's just mechanical stuff. Right? And then you get hit by the flash chop, right?
Mm.
Right. So why'd you get hit here? Because you're trying to, I think you're trying to hit him with a flicker here, right? That looks like the input for a flicker. But you're standing too close, so you get hit by this, right? And
yeah,
right. So again, if you look at like the overall damage that you guys are doing to each other, right? The main 2500 that came here was actually from this. Like this power bomb. Or actually no. From this DI here, right? And then he power bombs you for like 2100 or whatever this is.
yeah,
Right? Or 2500 here. So like again, like half your health that you lost, right? 2500 and then 2530 here. One of those is from an unblocked DI, which you could have dealt with if you had counter DI'd, whatever. The other one's from a command grab, right? And the command grab offense is a little bit, playing against a grappler is just some practice needed to get used to how the 50-50s work. But again, like the rest of the stuff that's happening here, he's not doing any crazy long combos or anything like that. You guys are both kind of at the same level, if you will, for that, right? It's just that he's winning a little bit more neutral than you are, and he's dealing more damage when he does win it, right? So, but otherwise, I thought this was actually not bad, right? If you convert some of these hits, I think this is a lot closer, and you potentially take it, right? So, let's look at the next round. Yeah, so pairing against a grappler is typically not great, right?
yeah.
The risk is way too high, right? Meaning he's going to do, in this case, he does 2875 because that's what I think Alex's power bombs are set to. Like, that's how much damage he does on a punish counter throw. But it represents a lot of damage, right? When you're playing against a grappler, right? So if the grappler is going for a lot of strikes and you have that read, I think maybe it's okay to do that. But I do think if you are reading, if you're reading strike, just blocking here is generally better, right? Because you'll take a little bit less damage. That's say you do have to guess, right? You do have to make a decision on if you think they're going to strike or to throw, right? So twice now they've gone for command grab, and twice you've kind of blocked, right? So if you think they're going to go for command grab again, you have to neutral jump or backdash, right? So, or reversal, like to beat that option. So, right, and then you get it's tough. All right. There it is. Almost. But this was good, right? Because remember, Alex in Prowler stance can't block, right? So goes in a stance, and then you just hit him, right? And this is good. So do a combo.
The whiff, no.
Almost had him, but it's okay, right? But the punish was there, right? You actually went up, did the thing, right? So this is good. Okay, still parrying, but that's okay because they're striking. Okay, punish opportunity there, right? With lights into a conversion of some kind, but it's okay. All right. You jump. Nice. So right here, this is good. Right, he whiffs something. But what I want you to take away from this is that in this situation right here, you were standing at a space where your sent heavy punch will hit, right? And so
yeah, I had a lot more options to take advantage of that whiff, like prior to that initial hit.
Like in prior to this, right? Yeah, right there. Potentially, right?
Yeah.
That would be a high level whiff punish if you did that, right? Stand medium kick into something. That's difficult. but not impossible, but difficult. But this one, the reason I like this a lot is because you stood at a space where your button would reach and you press the button, right? Like, that's huge. Being able to not whiff in this game is super important if you can, right? So like if you were looking for like actionable things besides better anti-airs and better combos, one of the things that you could work on would be trying to not whiff buttons in neutral, right? So like making sure that whenever you press a button, whatever button it is, it always lands. Whether it's on hit, on block, that doesn't quite matter as much. But the point is that you don't whiff it, right? And this is why I keep highlighting this, is because you press the button here at a spacing where it would reach, but the Alex pressed the button that would not reach, right? So they press the light and it whiffs, right? But if they did nothing, right, your stand heavy punch reaches, right? And it does
Yeah.
not whiff, right? So this is a really important concept to consider. Right now, it's probably not going to feel that way because people are not spacing particularly well. They're going to be all over the place in terms of where they're standing, what buttons they're pressing. But as you climb up through the ranks, you'll start to notice that people tend to whiff less, meaning they'll press buttons at spacings that make more sense. Doesn't happen always, right? I think it's going to be a while yet before you see that happen with any sort of consistency. But for now, if you can get ahead of the game a little bit if you don't whiff buttons, right? Like on
Mm-hmm.
hit, on block, doesn't matter as long as it's not whiffing. So this is really good, right? This is good stuff right here, because being able to, like, if you took this sequence here, right, and applied this to the rest of your fighting game career and say, when Ed is standing at this spacing, I can press my time punch and never whiff it, like, you'll be doing a lot better than most players in ranked right now, right, that are whiffing randomly. Because again, if you look at Alex here, right, he just whiffs a button.
Yeah.
Right? And because he whiffed that button, even though that wasn't a whiff punish, like, you didn't react to the light because it's impossible. But the point is that he put himself in position to be punished for no reason, because this button wouldn't reach. So like, what is he trying to do here, right? Whereas you
Right.
waiting a second here, you press your button at a range that makes sense, and then you get the punish counter, right? So now in the future, I would like to see this as like whatchamacallit, a OD flicker buffer, right? So you'd be able to OD flicker into like more damage and stuff. But this was good. Okay, so again, same thing. He whiffs the jab, and you press your button, right? It's a little close, but I think the idea is there, right? The hard part, though, and this is kind of interesting, and something that happens a lot at like these kind of levels, is that after the chop, you're actually minus, right? So he's plus here, right? If you can see, he's +2, but he is pressing a button that won't reach, right? So your button does reach. Now, if you press like a medium here or something else that was not a jab that would whiff, but pressed instead something like this, right? Or even this, right? He would have counter hit you, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because the same thing would apply to your opponent here, right? They press a button that whiffs and they get punished for it, right? Like, they get punished counter heavy here. But if they press a button that doesn't whiff, then they actually get rewarded for doing that, right? And that's what I'm trying to emphasize, is that if you press buttons at spacings that make sense, meaning you're pressing the tip of the range and you're pressing them when you're not super minus or anything like that, you're going to tend to win more games, right? Because you'll tend to win more interactions. Those interactions lead to more damage, and you deal more damage, you win the game, right? Like, that's how that works. So I know it's kind of a lot, but I did want to highlight this because one of the things you were asking about in the message you put in, it was like, not just like, what did you put here? You put like, be proficient in neutral play, corner pressure, resource management, and game sense, right? And one of the things is neutral play. One of the things that comes into being able to play neutral is understanding that spacing, right? So don't worry too much about like, making sure you whiff punish things or all that stuff, like, and being super optimal with your spacing. I think for now, because there's a lot to deal with, right? As long as you're in situations where you don't whiff buttons, that's probably going to be good enough most of the time, right? Like, meaning I'm standing in a space where my button won't whiff and I can press my button, right? So cool. So let's see what happens the rest of this. Oh. So you land the stand heavy punch again. Right. Good. All right. So again, these kind of lands hits that you're landing here, right? Each of these punish counters for Ed is like a 3k
Mhm.
damage combo represented here, right? If not more. You have a ton of meter here, right? So like you can
Yeah.
deal like if you had converted those two punish counters that you did hit in this game, you win this game, right? You win this round. So this into OD flicker into like kill rush and the follow ups would deal like 3,000 damage, right? That's pretty good. This one too, right? So stand heavy or stand medium or sorry, crouching medium kick, punish counter, right? You can land another button here into a drive rush into more damage, right? Potentially level 1 or
Mhm.
anything like that, right? So again, like I don't think you're playing neutral poorly at all, right? I think you're playing decently well for the level you're at. It's just that you're not converting the damage. You're not converting these hits into damage, and that's what's holding you back, I think. So,
Yeah.
and then get checked with the overhead, right? So, scramble situations like this, right? So, meaning you're both kind of like flailing around a little bit. He's jumping, the answer opportunity, and you just kind of rip a DI here, right, in neutral. So ripping a DI in neutral is generally not a great option as you get past platinum because people are ready to deal with it, right? In this case, he neutral jumped a little early, but he neutral jumped. But you saw in the previous replay we saw that they were able to counter DI you, right? The other Ed was able to do that. So people are looking for it. So you do want to just be cognizant of like ripping DIs in neutral, unless if your opponent's burned out, it's different, right? Like they have to deal with that. But imagine if you had just kind of waited a little bit, right?
Mhm.
From here. All right, so you're in this position here. You're kind of waiting, right? Maybe that whiffs, right? Oh, it is a light DP, right? Or even just stand heavy kick, I think. So like if you had waited a little bit and looked for what your opponent does, they'll likely do something that you'll be able to punish them for, right? And this happens a lot through platinum into like master, like platinum, diamond, and master. People are trying to do things, and if you just kind of wait a little bit and understand that you don't have to always be doing something, opportunities like that will open up for you, right? Meaning you can anti-air them, you can, beat their unsafe option or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to say that to you now because since you're playing Ed, one of the ways he wins is basically by counter poking, right? So your opponent keeps doing things and then you whiff punish them or poke them with your flickers, which are longer range buttons. You do damage, a ton of damage, right, with your combos, right? So that is something to keep in mind, like when you're talking about neutral game, right? Because a lot of times, again, like at this level here, people want to do things. I want to press the buttons. I want to be the one dealing the damage. I want to do the combos, all that stuff, and that's all fine and well, right? And I totally understand why you want to do that. But you do need to find the opportunities to do that, right? And a lot of times,
Right.
when we played, the reason I was able to land combos and stuff is because you did something that I was able to punish, right? Whether that be whiffing a button, maybe you didn't anti-air a jump in, right? Like those types of things are allowing me to deal the damage, right? So,
I'm just a very open and just a very open player.
yeah, I mean it's and that's how it is, right? Like every if you talk to anyone in Newbie Fight Club or in Fight Rise, and you ask them about how they when they started playing the game, right? Unless they were like, been playing for the last 20 years, right? Played SF5, SF4, like they've been playing fighting games forever. For a lot of folks, this is their first fighting game, and I think like if you talk to them, they'll be going through the same thing as you are right now. So
Yeah.
is this your first fighting game? I forget to ask. Like, have you played other fighting games before?
Uh, I have, yes. The first ever fighting game I've ever played was actually Street Fighter 4
Okay.
for the Xbox 360. Not that I was good at it, but
hmm hmm
then later on it would be Dragon Ball Fighters.
Okay,
And
which is a different game. It's not like
yeah,
it's not slow place like this, right? But yeah, um, but yeah, it's probably and for a lot of folks, this is like the first fighting game that they're quote unquote taking seriously and trying to get good at, right? And modern is a big reason for that, and like the resurgence of fighting games and all that stuff. This is a very popular fighting game. But if you talk to folks in those discords that are new to the game or have are starting to take it seriously, a lot of the struggles that you're dealing with now are the same things they have, right? It's very common. So don't feel too bad about like getting hit and that type of thing. It's because you have to play the game more, right? And learn. But some of the things that I'm talking about here are concepts that will help you to maybe you don't. I don't want to say like it's going to win you more games outright, but you will lose less games because of it. If that makes sense, right? So like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't take as much damage on defense, you have better opportunities to win the game. Like to not you're not going to lose because of that, right? Potentially,
Hmm.
or you have more opportunities to come back and win it, right? So that and again, it's just you got to play more ranked, play more games with folks in the Discord, ask questions, that type of thing. So
Yeah.
anyway, so input control here. Let's see how the rest of this turns out, right? Yeah, I'll check that, right? So, um, you know, the reacting to overhead can be tough. That's hard. But that wasn't why you lost this one, I think, right? So if you look at the overall round, let this play out. Right, so wake up option here gets punished hard, right? Right. Missed opportunity for the combo, that's okay. Right, another missed opportunity, but it's okay.
Hmm.
Right. You get hit at some point here. Oh, you land that. Right, so like, for Alex, right, like that heavy punch into flash chop deals 2,000 damage, right? Like that's a lot for what that is. So like he lands this on you maybe once or twice, maybe just once, but it's a lot, right? And then from here you're kind of in a situation where the DI will come in and kill you. Right? And then overhead, right? So again, like if we look at where you can improve, right? That's immediately actionable anyway. The three things that I'll talk about would be one, have better anti-airs, right? So be ready to anti-air
Hmm.
jumps, that type of thing. Two, be more passive on defense, meaning you should block more, right? Choose to block more often. Like you don't have to press any buttons, you don't have to parry, you don't have to delay tech, you don't have to do any of those things. Just block more often, right? Observe what your opponent is
Okay.
doing, and that allows you to make defensive decisions, right? But I think you should just block more, really. And then the last thing would be combos, right? So you land several punish counter stand heavy punches and other buttons here, right? Like you landing buttons and landing hits on people. It's just that you're not converting it into any real amount of damage. So again, that means that you have to win more neutral interactions than they do to win, right? So if you
Yeah.
look at the last two games that we reviewed, I'd like to think that you did mostly the same amount of conversions, if not a little bit, mostly the same number of hits overall, like landed hits against your opponent, right? Maybe a little bit more, maybe, right? It's close. It's just that your opponents have been doing more damage than you, right? And that's what's really getting you, right? Because again, if you
Yeah.
cancel any of these hits into like into like a 5,000 damage combo, 4,000 damage combo, right? EX flicker into like kill rush into like a super of some kind, like this round goes differently for you, right? Like maybe you have them on the back foot, you don't have to deal with the overhead here, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, um yeah, so let's pause there for a second. So do you have any
Yeah.
like questions, comments, or concerns right now? What are you thinking about what I'm talking about here? Does it kind of make sense? Does it seem a little bit off, or what do you think?
It does. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Because I see the issues in myself,
Hmm.
but it's habits I need to break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Habits I need to break, and they just keep coming.
And it's hard, man. It's hard because a lot of times, and I say this a lot too, the reason these habits show up in games and stuff is because you haven't been really getting punished for it yet, right? Like at these levels here, people's offense, like in platinum, like through like gold 5 into platinum 1 or 2, um, gold platinum 1 is where a lot of the win streak bonuses end, right? In terms of like the lower rank win streak bonuses, right? So a lot of people end up in platinum 1, platinum 2, right? So they play the game, they get pushed into platinum, and then now platinum 1 is like this huge pool of people, of like folks that are kind of playing the game casually. They're not really getting good in that way, like they don't want to necessarily spend a lot of time on it. And then there's folks like you that are trying to get through that and get better, right? So like the talent
Right.
and pool range, the pool is so huge that like you run into basically anybody or anything, right? Like you can run into anything. So like here's where I think some of these habits will start to get punished, right? Like players that are trying to level up and get through the games, like this guy's platinum 3, the other one was like platinum 2 or 3, whatever it was. They're trying to get better at the game, so they're recognizing patterns and they're able to punish you for it, right? So those types of things, you just got to play more and be like, okay, consciously not parrying, right? Consciously not waking up with a button, trying to block more, consciously looking out for anti-airs, right? Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, because for most players, I'll say this now, I think for most players in platinum going into master, so platinum through diamond into master, I think that they should be spending more of their own mental stack on watching for anti-airs and DIs and those types of things, right? So like neutral skips, that type of stuff. Like spend more time looking for those things. Because you saw even against this Alex, he didn't jump a ton, but when he did jump, it represents a lot of damage for him when he lands things, right? It was similarly for you, right? When you jump in and land that jump medium punch or whatever it was that you're landing, that should represent a good amount of damage for you as well. And that kind of goes into the combo thing, right? Yeah. Otherwise, I actually think you're playing very well for your level. I think your neutral is actually decent for where you're at. It's just that you're not converting that into a lot of damage, and that's what's kind of getting you right now. So, yeah,
Yeah.
cool, man. Any other questions or comments you're thinking right now that I can try to help with?
Um,
I know it's a lot.
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's how much should I be blocking? And I know it's sometimes necessary to take the throw,
Mm-hmm.
but just in general, how much should I be blocking? Like
Yeah. So
until it's the end of their turn.
yeah, like length of time, you mean? Okay, so blocking, right? Let's actually let's see if I can uh set something up here. Hold on. So I'm gonna invite you to this custom room, and we can take a look at situations that you should be blocking through. So let me invite you
Okay,
back.
for sure.
A little bit off the cuff here, but I think this will be helpful. Let me just think about how I want to set this up, though. Oops. Oh, user code. I have the wrong thing. All right, so go ahead and hop. I sent you an invite, so go ahead and hop into the training slot at the very bottom here. Once you're in the
That.
room.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and hop into the training slot. Yeah, there you go. All right. So your question was how often, how long should I be blocking, right? So, and then it's like, do I wait for my turn or how does this go? So, we'll take a look at that in particular. So, but what I will say is that typically you had it right, is that you do want to block until their turn is over, right? So, what does that look like? So, I'm going to let me set this up. I guess I can. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw you, and all I want you to do is just block, right? So after
Okay.
you on wake up, just block, right? So generally speaking, in this game, when you talk about meaty pressure, right? So like oaky pressure, right? If they go for light pressure, typically they can throw up to 3 lights before they're out of range, right? So you saw what I did was I pressed like this 3 times, and then now
Yeah.
I'm out of range, right? So I can't press any more light buttons, right? Like this isn't going to reach anymore, right? This will reach because Ken has a privileged ass stand light kick, but that's typically not what Kens are going to do here, right? So they're going to be spaced out.
Mhm.
So what does that mean? That means that at the end of the 3rd lights, if you block this, so I'm going to throw you again, and then I'll do 3 lights, right? From right here, oh, the frame data is off. Sorry. Frame meter. Right. So you're player 1 here, right? So I'll throw you again. Just go ahead and block. Right. So right after that 3rd jab, right, you're plus now, meaning it is technically
Mhm.
your turn, right? So from here, this is when you can start acting now, right? So typically you want to block out the entire string, whatever I do. And then once I'm done with my string, meaning I can't really do anything anymore, that's when you can do something here, right? So maybe you can probably
Right.
like your stand, like if you press your crouching light kick here, that'll reach me, right? So go ahead and if you do crouching light kick from here, it should reach. So something like that could be a thing, right? Stand light kick,
All right.
right? Either way, right? Either one of those will reach me, right? So you can do that. You can also just continue blocking, right? So like after that whole sequence, I'm gonna be right about here, and then I can't reach you with any more lights, right? I have to commit to a bigger button to try to reach you. So you
Right.
can press something else there. You can walk up or anything like that, right? But in terms of how long you should be blocking, you should block until the string is done, right? Meaning whatever I do is over, right? So if you continue blocking here, if I do this and like this, right, it's technically your turn here, and you can do something now, right? So that's how long you should block. In terms of selecting block and as a defensive option, it should probably be 80% of the time, if not a little bit more. Maybe even I'll even say 85% at this level.
Okay.
So remember, anything I do against you here, like if I knock you down like this, right? If you block, like I can't shimmy you, right? If I neutral jump, you can DP me. If I go for a button or something and you block that, like my turn will end at some point, because at some point I'll be spaced out too far to continue my pressure. And if I do a delay button or anything like that, you'll just block everything, right? Like the only thing that'll open you up is a throw. Whereas if you try to mash something, like go ahead and mash jab, right? If I do this correctly, right? Right, so I counter hit you, right? Out of that.
Yeah.
Right. Similarly, if you mash jab here, right, I'll be able to do anything, right? So I can do something at a meaty timing to beat your mash jab, right? So now what's interesting is that mashing jab does beat a lot of options, common options, right? The problem is that it loses very hard to a very common offensive option of a meaty strike or meaty throw, right? That's why it's so risky to press there. But if your opponent has if you have a read on your opponent's offensive tendencies, where after they knock you down, they tend to like back up or they do some other option, maybe mashing could work, right? But you kind of have to learn those situations. So as you get better at the game, you'll start recognizing them. But the only way you'll get there is if you block more, right? So if you block here, right, and you're blocking, and you notice I just do this a lot, right? Like I shimmy you, like I try to do this, right? Then it's like, oh, maybe I can wake up with like a crouching medium kick or a crouching medium punch for Ed, right? Because that's what's actual low. Like you can wake up with a button and beat me there, right? But you never know that I was doing that. If like go ahead and jab here and press a button, right? If you press a button on wake up here, right, you could potentially get hit as I do these things, right? So that's what, if you're constantly getting hit in those situations, it's hard to observe what the opponent was actually doing and be able to apply the counter to it, right? So ultimately it is rock paper scissors, and you're not always going to be right, meaning there are times where you're going to get throw looped to death because you're blocking, but you have to learn how to play that more effectively, right? If you just jab every single time, your opponent will notice that and blow you up for it, right? That's kind of what I was doing to you set, right? Is that what's going on there? So yeah, in terms of selecting block, 80-85% of the knockdown situations you should be doing that. If you recognize that your opponent likes to do something that you can beat with like an EXDP or a tech or something like that, then you can start doing that, but you should be blocking more. In terms of length of block, it'll depend character to character, but most of the time characters can't continue their pressure past like 3 buttons, right? So even if against like a Bison or a Sagat that has plus frames, right, on their buttons, they're not going to be able to press more than like 3 of them before they're out of range, right? When they can't press this 3rd time. So that's when you can stop blocking and consider doing something else, right? Maybe take a turn back with a button, maybe you walk forward, maybe you just wait, like that, the pressure ends at that point and you're back to neutral. So how to deal with that after, that's kind of that's a more in-depth thing, and it requires some character knowledge a little bit and like some understanding of how neutral works. But for you right now, I think like if you get into a situation like this, right, and you block this out, for example, and you get back to this, right, you have a better chance of getting back into the game, right? Versus if I keep looping you with like a knockdown and you keep mashing something, like it's hard to win from there because I can just keep doing that offense and then you'll never be able to beat it if you can't block, right? So yeah, hopefully that was helpful and answers that question. So
most definitely. Cool.
All right, so let's see what time is it. Any other questions or situations you're concerned about or want to try to learn more about? I'll ask them one more time, I suppose. That's a tough
At
one to
the
put you on the spot.
not, nothing at the moment. Nah, nothing at the moment.
All right,
But
cool.
I'll use what I can. And maybe I'll have more questions like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I get to the next stage.
yeah, definitely. I think like what'll happen is because you already do a decent job of not whipping buttons, right? So what'll happen is you'll start noticing that you are landing more hits, right? And not getting hit as much,
Mhm.
and you're able to defend a little bit, meaning like you stand up and you don't get hit on Oki anymore. So what that means is that you'll get more opportunities to play neutral in the game, and then from there you'll start winning more because hopefully your combos have gotten better as well, right? So
Yeah.
um, that all said, did you want to run it back one more time? Go get another game in under set in.
Low key, yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
we
sick.
can.
Let's do it. All right, so I'll leave the mics hot because it's funny that way. What I want you to focus on
Yeah.
here is just blocking more, right? I'm not going to do too many crazy things on offense to try to open you up, but what I will do is try to emphasize like the things we talked about. So making sure you're not whiffing buttons, making sure that you're blocking on offense, right? So and anti-airing. So yep, go ahead and queue
For
up when you're
sure.
ready.
All right.
And the crossplay sometimes takes so long to get into get into the game. These are on Xbox, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So yeah, really just focus on trying to. I'm just really focus on trying not to whiff buttons, right? That's what I'm gonna try to punish you for is if you whiff,
All
right?
right.
Nice. Yeah, don't be afraid to use your flickers to keep me out, right? Those go so far. Yeah, there you go. Nice. There you go. Yeah. Again, try pressing buttons and see, right, what the spacing looks like. Like, don't just like not press anything, but you gotta I mean, just try not to whiff it, right? There you go. There you go. That was pretty good. Uh-oh. Nice. There you go. Nice. There you go. That was pretty good. And watch the sweep. And then it didn't block there. But you can kind of see how like putting yourself in a position where you may not whiff, it makes it feel
Yeah.
like you're able to like see the game a little bit easier in terms of the neutral part, right? So now you can start trying to press more buttons and see if they hit me or not, right? Even if it's on block.
All right. Yeah, I did kind of get carried away the first
Yeah, you
time.
just kind of walk back. Yeah, don't be afraid to press those flicker buttons. Yeah, there you go. That right there, right? So you see how like I had to block that, right? And I can't do anything about it from that spacing.
Oh shit, my fault, my fault. Have it, have it.
Nice. Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you can see like the space I'm standing at, I think you could probably get away with pressing flickers and stand heavy punch, right? So try to hit me with that. Here you go. Or I guess what I mean is the kick buttons, right? So stand heavy kick, stand medium kick, like those buttons. I mean, not stand heavy kick. Sorry, crouching heavy kick, stand medium kick, crouching medium kick, like those buttons. Try to hit me with those.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That was it. Nice. So like here, right? If I'm standing at this spacing, I can't really press anything, right? So you can press your kick buttons pretty effectively, I think. Nice. Nice. There you go. Wow, that's pretty good. I like it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was close. That was close. But I can see, like, you're clearly thinking about what button to press at spacing that makes sense, and it's really fucking hard, right? It's really hard. Like, I don't want to downplay anything about what you're doing because this is really hard to do this.
Oops. Hmm.
Good block. Oh. Yeah, good. Remember. Anytime I have to block one of those buttons, that's a win for you there, right? Nice anti-air. Ooh. Nice. Oh, that was good. Oh. Nice. Nice,
Oh
nice,
shit.
nice. There you go. Right now, hopefully that's clicking for you a little bit, but that was good. Nice. Ooh.
Oh shit.
There you go.
Ooh.
Ooh. Goes for the throw there. But yeah, I think this is probably it's definitely harder to play this way, but you can see like how much better you're doing now, right? Nice.
Yeah. Ooh, good. Good grab.
Nice. That was good.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
get the stuff for the counter, but no, that was actually I'm really impressed. That was actually really good. So I mean, obviously I'm trying to play in a way that allows you to practice that, but you can see like when the first time you played, right? I was doing a lot of this to you. I was just kind of being patient and waiting for opportunities to hit you, and that's how it
Yeah.
opened you up, right? And you can see like you landed a good amount of like counter hits and punish counters, so that you're able to whiff punish effectively. Now, if each of those hits represented 3,000 damage, you only need 3 of them to really win, right? 2 or 3 of them. So yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think with that, if nothing else, I think we can probably call it there. Been at it for a bit, but it's kind of some concepts to come over, right? So I think that we can call it there. If you have any last minute questions, I can try to answer. But otherwise, yeah. What do you think?
Um, shit. Sorry. Good stuff.
Mhm.
I'm not done with tonight. I still gotta lab up the rest.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think it definitely is just like just some time in the lab, right? This VOD will be posted on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it whenever you want. Probably tomorrow. I have to convert it and send and upload it. But yeah, definitely just think about the concepts we were talking about, and see if like that starts to really click for you. And I think what you're gonna notice if you do these things is that you'll get hit less, you'll land more hits, and it's just a matter of combos, right? To really seal it. So yeah, man. No, this is really good. I think you're gonna do really well. Ed feels like a character I think that works for you pretty well. So it's just a matter of drilling some of those concepts, right? So cool, man. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. With that, I guess we'll call it there. So have a good night, man. I'll just do the outro on
Much
stream.
appreciated,
Yeah, yeah,
boss.
for sure.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, for sure. Hope it was helpful. Cool. Yeah, Corgi. Want to coach a live match? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't I feel like I haven't really done that recently, and mostly it's because it's hard to actually do that live. Right, actually, but yeah, thanks for your follow, by the way. I appreciate that. Looks like Leg is a boy of yours, right? So I was trying my best to make them better. But yeah, I don't really do, or I used to offer like live ranked coaching, like as a thing you could ask for, if you've gone through this session. But I think it's not as helpful as like people think it is, because like it's hard to make on the fly adjustments that will work in the middle of a ranked set, if that makes sense, right? Like I could be like, oh, jump more, or oh, anti-air more, but like it's not really, it doesn't really it's not really productive, right? Because the player, like you say, right, mental stack, right? So like imagine I'm playing the game, I'm trying to win my match, and someone's in my ear telling me what to do, right? Like that's hard to get through, right? But yeah, I mean, it can be anyway. Some folks like that and want that, like they want someone to tell them what's going on. But it's really hard to like coach someone in the middle of a ranked set when the mental stack's already high, right? So it's fine. Somebody spin on a neutral. Hey, for you, you do that all you want. Like if it's working, don't stop. Right. So, and yeah, I'm not in the business of telling you what to do. I'm just in the business of hoping that it makes it easier for you. Like the things you do want to do, make it easier to win more matches, right? Like even you saw like here, right? Like it wasn't like I was telling them to stop doing what they were doing in particular. Well, maybe it was a little bit. So yeah, even highlights for slow neutral. So in higher ranks, the neutral is actually faster, if that makes sense. So individual decisions from interaction to interaction matter. So like you're considering what the opponent is doing, even while the thing that you're dealing with is happening, right? So like even something as simple as an opponent walking forward and walking back is something that you have to account for in your mental stack, right? Or they could just randomly spin knuckle, right? Is the neutral? So I wouldn't say neutral is slower at higher ranks. It's actually faster, but it's faster because the decision making you have to do is faster, right? The decision making between things, and so that's what causes it to be faster. So because like if you think about neutral at a platinum level, right, and diamond level, or even lower ranks, like there's not really a ton of like nuance in particular, right? So Honda is headbutting, Ken is dragon lashing, Blanca balling is happening, right? So stopping those become more imperative than quote unquote playing footsies, or playing quote unquote footsies, right? Because people aren't playing footsies. Also, more punishing against players need fewer interaction around. That's definitely true, right? So like if you look at this last set, the amount of damage that could be done by Ed on any of those punish counters like can be around 3k, right, if not more. So you only have 10k health, right? So those three interactions plus like a throw or some other random interaction is enough to kill you. In round 2 or round 3, when you have level 2, level 3, or especially for Ed who has level 2, right? That could be even less, right? You take a dream combo, a Shin Dream combo, or something like that, or desync, and all of a sudden that's half your health is gone, right? And he gets all his bar back and all that, right? So since if it's I feel like I actually get to play neutral though. It's probably more true that you're playing neutral at that level than you were before, but it's really not as much as like pro level play, I think, right? Like like the decision making and some of that stuff that's happening at those higher levels are, I'm at 1700, I'm not there, like not even close, right? Obviously. But even at this level, I think that the neutral is it only looks slower. Like if you watch my replays, but like I guarantee you that it's happening really really fast. But yeah, but yeah, again, like as you go higher in rank, right? Like at the higher rank you are, the less risk people tend to take, right? So they're doing less stuff. It looks that the way anyway, and because they're doing less stuff, it looks slower. But in reality, it's because they're taking less risks, right? Unless again you want to spin medical and neutral, right? I won't ever stop anyone from doing that. If you want to do that, you go for it, right? You want to hooligan me, right? Like do those things. Um, and that's a very valid way to play. I don't want to take any. I know I'm kind of saying this facetiously, but that's a very valid way to play, right? If you want to introduce the volatility and make your opponent be the one that has to deal with stuff, it's a very valid way to play. Like there's no rule book that says you have to play grounded, patient footsies in neutral like to win games, right? There's no manifest that dictates that. The only things you can and can't do are whatever the game allows you to do, right? So if the game allows you to hooligan on wake up, you can hooligan on wake up. You can do those things. Those are all, it's in the game. Whether or not it makes sense to do is a different story, but that is what it is, right? So yeah, if you did, I would keep losing to Flash. So I mean, I haven't played Flash in a little while, but when I did play them, they do that very well, right? They're able to kind of tax your mental stack to where you have to react to everything, and everything is like a threat. And then all of a sudden you get hit by them walking up a crouch medium kick, right? Like that's how they play the game. And again, very valid, right? There's no reason, there's like nothing that says you can't do that. It's just that if you run into somebody that has the consistency to stop those things, then they have to come with a different plan, right? And that happens for every level, right? So if you can't jump on them anymore because they're anti-airing, then what do you do, right? And that's a big reason why I was kind of emphasizing anti-airs today and those type of things, because if you, at Platinum especially, if you can anti-air people and stop, check drive rush, counter DIs, and stop neutral skips, most Platinum level players will fold, right? Like they won't have another layer of offense to fall back on, and they'll just die. Because it's like, oh, I don't know how to walk forward and press buttons, so I'm going to jump, but I take 1200 damage every time I jump. So what do I do? Well, let me jump again, and then you just die, right? You die to it. So, but yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and all that stuff. I guess since people are actually here, I should probably raid somebody, right? Is that how that works? Do I mean Ken? Yeah. Ken is my main, who I play the most, for sure. Let's see who's actually online. I don't know any of these people. I guess I just pick somebody. I don't know. Oh, this is my local. All right, we can rate them, I guess. Let's see. Ed's calling your name. So I have a Platinum Ed, and I played them when they came out. I tried playing them for a bit just to see how they feel, and I didn't really like how they played because that's not really how I approach the game. Ed is a very interesting character though, and I think it's a good one. It's just I'd have to spend some time labbing to get there. So let's see, how do I raid somebody? We'll just read these folks. So this is my local that I was unable to attend tonight because I had to stay home, so I get to stream instead. But this is my local, so hang out for a bit, and thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it, and have a good one.